and says there's always room for growth and improvement in officiating. The commissioner said, I do find it interesting when you sit in the chair I sit in that no winning team ever complains about officiating, no losing team ever complains about officiating. So Cathy Engelbert, this is one of the worst takes I've ever heard. This is one of the worst takes I've ever heard from a commissioner of a league. Like, it is embarrassing. Like, it's an absolutely embarrassing take because
the WNBA finds itself engulfed in an unprecedented crisis as Commissioner Cathy Engelbert's tone-deaf response to CaitlinClark's mounting injury problems has ignited a firestorm of criticism from fans, players, and analysts across the basketball world.
Now, a lot of people is criticizing the WNBA referees yet again after another matchup because they felt as if Paige Beckers actually had a special whistle. Now, I spoke about this last night, man, and people was definitely showing mixed reviews about it. But with all that being said, dog, we look like WNBA Commissioner Cathy has opened up about this situation a little bit and spoken about it.
In what many are calling the most egregious display of leadership failure in professional sports history, Engelbert came out swinging, not at the referees who have systematically failed to protect her league's biggest star, but at critics who dare question the integrity of her officiating crew.
Realistically, Cathy Engelbert, what she should be doing is trying to promote the league, trying to make sure everything works, and just being this dismissive of what is one of the biggest problems in your entire league in the refereeing issue is awful. It is absolutely awful. And if you guys are...
When faced with mounting evidence of biased officiating that has contributed to Clark's injury woes, Engelbert doubled down with a response so detached from reality, it would be laughable if it weren't so damaging to the league's credibility. In a recent media session, the commissioner had the audacity to defend the very referees who have allowed Clark to be battered game after game.
You put the girl on national TV 40 out of the 44 regular season games. She don't get no foul calls at all. Her team gets no foul calls. So maybe this would be the wake-up call. When y'all see what these numbers look like without her, maybe this will open up your eyes to finally see and say, hey, you need to protect her. We can't have her get hurt. Maybe this will wake you up. Maybe this is what needed to happen. Obviously, we don't want Caitlin. But maybe this is the slap in the face. They're trenching cold water on the face that the WNBA.
There's always room for growth and improvement in officiating, Engelbert said, displaying the kind of hollow corporate speak that makes fans' blood boil. But here's where it gets absolutely insane. Instead of acknowledging the systematic targeting of her league's most valuable asset, she had the nerve to dismiss legitimate criticism by claiming, no winning team ever complains about officiating. No losing team ever doesn't complain about officiating.
Players and coaches obviously think so, but Engelbert isn't so alarmed. Basketball in general is considered difficult to officiate, which is true, and says there's always room for growth and improvement in officiating. The commissioner said, I do find it interesting when you sit in the chair I sit in that no winning team ever complains about officiating, no losing team ever complains about officiating. Do you want to know what coach complains about officiating more than anyone else? The Minnesota Lynx. The Minnesota Lynx. Do you want to know what game started the biggest what two games started the biggest refereeing talks in the WNBA over the last 2 years? The Indiana Fever versus the Chicago Sky when Kennedy Carter hip checked CaitlinClark. Who won that game? The Indiana Fever.
The woman tasked with protecting the integrity of women's professional basketball just told the world that concerns about players' safety and fair officiating are nothing more than sour grapes from unsuccessful teams. This isn't leadership. This is willful blindness wrapped in executive arrogance.
She stated, get Cathy out of here. The job is too big for her now. This isn't normal ref complaints. Win or loss, there is genuine incompetence with WNBA referees. The team, players, fans have been complaining about Cathy not effing embarrassed watching this display.
If you're enjoying, please subscribe. While Engelbert plays semantic games and dismisses valid concerns, the statistics paint a picture so damning it should have resulted in immediate disciplinary action months ago. CaitlinClark has been the victim of 17% of all flagrant fouls committed in the entire WNBA this season. One player, out of 100 of athletes, has absorbed nearly 1/5 of the most serious fouls a game has to offer. But wait, it gets even more outrageous. 80% of those flagrant fouls against Clark have come from a single team, the Chicago Sky. What are the mathematical odds of this happening by pure chance? You'd have better luck winning the lottery while being struck by lightning during a solar eclipse. Yet Engelbert sits in her commissioner's chair pretending this is just normal basketball.
Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner. I'm starting to think you and Cathy Engelbert has something going on for as she's a puppet for you. Why are you not protecting or coming out and saying something to protect CaitlinClark, aka CC, the face of the WNBA? It's really disturbing because at the end of the day, I thought you're supposed to look out for your people by any means. It's not even making sense. I understand.
The most telling statistic that exposes Engelbert's complete failure as a leader. Clark played 4 years at Iowa without missing a single regular season or playoff game due to injury. Suddenly, she enters the WNBA, where refs allow her to be pushed, shoved, and targeted, and she's already suffered 2 separate injuries in less than 20 games. The contrast couldn't be more stark or more damning. At Iowa, Clark was virtually indestructible, playing through minor bumps and bruises while remaining on the court for 139 consecutive games. The only injury of note during her entire college career was a brief ankle issue against Kansas State in 2022, and even then, she played through it and dominated with 33 points.
Maybe this will be the wake-up call that the WNBA needs to clean up the officiating, to actually show that they appreciate this golden goose that has landed in their lap that goes by the name of CaitlinClark. It's been so long where we've just seen this girl getting beat up in games. We see her get grabbed, hacked, bumped into, knocked on the floor. There's never any whistles from her. In my opinion, the WNBA has shown a true lack of appreciation for Caitlin. I don't feel like they've done enough to protect their best asset, their most important asset. I feel like they have dropped the ball on that. 1,000% they have dropped.
But the moment Clark stepped into Engelbert's WNBA, everything changed. First came the left quadricep strain. It made that sideline her for a minimum of 2 weeks. The injury occurred following yet another game where officials allowed excessive contact against Clark, this time in a contest against the New York Liberty, where she logged nearly 38 minutes while enduring what observers call deliberate physical targeting. Now, just weeks after returning from that first injury, Clark is dealing with a left groin strain that has forced her to miss additional games. This second injury came on the heels of another poorly officiated contest, where referees once again failed to protect the league's most marketable star from unnecessary contact. As if her defense of incompetent officiating wasn't insulting enough, Engelbert's track record of tone-deaf responses to serious issues has become a pattern that fans and players are no longer willing to tolerate. When asked to address the dark side of social media and racist harassment directed at WNBA players, Engelbert's response was so inadequate it prompted immediate backlash from across the league.
Hey, Cece, she a different breed, bruh. And y'all, just me seeing all of these files, and y'all don't treat Paige like that? Why y'all don't treat her like that? You hear me? Paige don't be embarrassing her opponents like Cece do, huh? I ain't gonna lie. CaitlinClark, she a different breed. And then Cathy Engelbert, she has no remorse, no sympathy or nothing. I know she's a puppet. At the end of the day, Stephanie White, all of them, bro, because it's not making sense, bro. Why?
Instead of unequivocally condemning harassment, Engelbert chose to frame the toxicity surrounding Clark and other players as beneficial rivalry, comparing to Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. The WNBA Players Association was forced to issue a statement calling out Engelbert's failure to address the racism, misogyny, and harassment experienced by the players. The commissioner later issued a half-hearted apology, admitting her response missed the mark. But here's the problem. When you're the leader of a professional sports league, you don't get to miss the mark on basic issues of players' safety and human decency. You get right the first time, or you find a new job. Engelbert's failures aren't just embarrassing. They're financially catastrophic for the WNBA. The numbers tell a story that should terrify every stakeholder in women's professional basketball. Nationally televised WNBA viewership has plummeted 55% since Clark's injury. The Fever's nationally broadcast games have experienced a 53% drop in viewership, falling from an average of 1.81 million viewers before Clark's injury to just 847,000 viewers afterward. These aren't just statistics. They represent a wholesale abandonment of the WNBA's most important growth opportunity in decades. Clark single-handedly brought tens of millions of new viewers to women's basketball. She packed arenas, broke viewership records, and generated more mainstream media attention than the league had ever experienced. And what did Engelbert's administration do in return? They let her get beaten into submission by referees who either couldn't or wouldn't do their jobs.
But I'm going to keep saying it. Something is going on. I don't know what it is, man, but that's uncalled for. And we can see it. I don't know if we need to look into the committee, with the higher up players, the veteran players. I don't know what we need to look at, but we need to look somewhere because this is crazy.
The most infuriating aspect of this entire debacle is how predictable it has become. Game after game, Clark faces physical play that result in flagrant fouls for other players, while her reactions to being assaulted somehow warrant technical fouls. The double standard is so established that even casual observers can see it coming. In one ridiculous example, Clark received a technical foul for saying "come on" too loudly after opponents committed uncalled fouls against her. Meanwhile, players who deliver elbows and shoves to Clark face minimal consequences. If any, this is an incompetence. This is systematic bias that Engelbert refuses to acknowledge. The Connecticut Sun game on June 18 provided yet another perfect example of the officiating disaster under Engelbert's watch. Clark was swiped in the eye, then pushed to the ground. After a light retaliation, she received the same technical foul as players who committed far more egregious acts. When your biggest star gets the same punishment as players who assault her, you completely lost control of your sport.
The situation where every single team knows how bad the refereeing is. There is a problem in the league, and it's like everybody knows there's a problem in the league. You have got like people going on ESPN that are like have been involved with the league for years, and they're like, the problem with the league isn't that there's no physicality, isn't even the physicality. It's like where the physicality is, and it's like no one complains if you allow physicality in the post. No one's complaining if you're allowing physicality between bigs trying to fight it out. Like that's basketball. But they were like, you're not only just allowing hand checking, you're allowing players to be grabbed off the ball, which is 100% true. The problem is that nobody wants physicality with guards off the ball.
The response from WNBA fans has been nothing short of a revolution. Social media platforms are flooded with video compilations showing missed calls against Clark, statistical analyses proving bias, and calls for accountability that grow louder with each passing day. This isn't just disappointment. This is organized outrage from people who feel betrayed by a league that promised fair competition. What makes this fan revolt particularly damaging for Engelbert is that these aren't longtime WNBA supporters who will stick around regardless. These are new fans who discovered women's basketball through Clark's transcendent talent. They came expecting to see elite competition and fair officiating. Instead, they're witnessing what appears to be predetermined outcomes and systematic bias against the player who brought them to the sport. These casual observers have options. They can watch the NBA, college basketball, or any number of other sports where the officiating doesn't feel rigged. When your most marketable star is being systematically targeted while your commissioner pretends everything is fine, you're not building a sustainable fan base. You're driving people away.
She bring in the tickets. Y'all on viewership rises. Even when she don't play, even if she just sit on the sideline. It's crazy because Michael Jordan has endorsed her. Michael Jordan don't like nobody. He see the greatness in her. You hear me? People talk. NBA legends speak highly of CaitlinClark, and I'm tired of seeing Brittany Griner, Angel Reese, Eric Kennedy, all of them, bro. Even the Caucasian hoopers, bro. That's what y'all got going on. Y'all are jealous of this woman that bad? It's sick. And Adam Silver, you have all the evidence you need, bro, and you still not doing anything. Because the whole world is seeing the same thing I'm seeing and saying the same thing I'm saying, dog.
The Clark controversy has simply exposed what many have suspected about Engelbert's leadership for months. She's either unwilling or unable to address serious problems when they arise. Whether it's systematic officiating bias, player safety concerns, or toxic fan behavior, Engelbert's response has been consistently inadequate. Her recent comments defending the referees represent the final straw for many WNBA supporters. When presented with clear evidence of bias and mounting injury concerns, a competent commissioner would have launched an immediate investigation into officiating standards. Instead, Engelbert chose to gaslight critics and defend the indefensible. The irony is staggering. The WNBA finally has the superstar it has desperately needed for decades, a player capable of bringing casual fans in the fold and generating the kind of excitement that translates into revenue and growth. Yet instead of protecting this golden goose, Engelbert's administration appears determined to let her be battered into submission by officials who have forgotten their primary responsibility is to ensure fair competition.
I've been saying this many times, but I'm going to say it again. Cathy Engelbert is the worst commissioner in sports. The worst. She's playing a very dangerous game to get attention and ratings. You know what she's doing? Allowing violence, accusing of racism, and creating a frenzy amongst fans and society by throwing the race card and causing division. That's what she's doing. She's doing all this to garner attention, and she's actually, I'll say, cartooning or dehumanizing the players. She's making them into characters so fans can hate them.
The calls for Engelbert's suspension or resignation aren't just emotional reactions from frustrated fans. They represent legitimate demands for accountability from a leadership structure that has failed at the most basic level. Multiple sources within the league have suggested that pressure has been mounting behind the scenes, with team owners and executives reportedly questioning Engelbert's handling of various controversies. Whether or not Engelbert survives this crisis, the damage to the WNBA's credibility may already be irreversible. The league stands at a crossroads. It can continue down the current path of questionable officiating and administrative dysfunction, risking the loss of its most marketable star and the fans she's brought with her. Or it can implement serious reforms designed to ensure fair competition and protect players' safety.
There's always room for growth and improvement in officiating. Yeah, you kind of got a point there, but your league is worse than any other damn league. Like, the NBA don't have these refereeing problems like y'all do, bro. I mean, this is bad. It's a mockery. Half of the calls that don't get called. It's literally altering freaking games. She went on to say, I do find it interesting when you sit in a chair I sit in that no winning team ever complains about officiating. No losing team ever doesn't complain about officiating. Bro, you sound silly. One comment said it is clear that they don't want the WNBA to succeed. This is not incompetence from Cathy. She was the CEO of some little company. They want the WNBA to remain a small, safe space for free-form, normal basketball fans.
But based on Engelbert's recent doubling down on failed policies and tone-deaf responses, the league appears more interested in maintaining existing power structures than capitalizing on generational talent. When your commissioner defends biased officiating while your biggest star suffers injury after injury, you're not building a sustainable future. You're accelerating toward irrelevance. CaitlinClark deserves better. The fans deserve better. And the future of women's professional basketball depends on the league's willingness to replace failed leadership with competent administration that understands the difference between protecting revenue and destroying it through sheer incompetence. The clock is ticking, and with each tone-deaf statement from Engelbert, the WNBA risks squandering the greatest opportunity in its history.